The bus doors hissed shut just as Daniel realized he was holding the last ticket in his pocket, and his son's small hand was trembling in his own. The rain had turned the street into a gray blur, and the night shift had drained every ounce of strength from his body. As a single dad, Daniel counted everything, minutes, coins, breaths. Tonight he had counted wrong. A woman stood a few steps away, soaked, scanning her empty purse with quiet panic. She looked tired, not dramatic, just worn thin by life. The driver barked, "Ticket or step back." Daniel felt the familiar ache of choosing between needs. His son, Leo, tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, we'll walk," he whispered, trying to be brave. Daniel didn't think. He pressed the ticket into the woman's hand. "Take it," he said softly. "You look like you need to get somewhere." Her eyes widened. "Sir, I can't." "It's okay." He smiled, though his chest tightened. "We'll manage." The bus pulled away with the woman aboard, her face pressed to the glass, disbelief etched into every line. The rain grew heavier. Daniel lifted Leo into his arms and started the long walk home, shoes filling with water, hope thinning with every step. He told Leo stories to keep his spirits up, stories about better mornings and warm kitchens. Hours later, a black car slowed beside them. The window rolled down. The woman from the bus leaned out, dry now, composed, changed. "Daniel," she said gently, reading his name from the badge he'd dropped earlier. "Please, let me take you home." He froze. Something in her voice hinted that this night wasn't finished yet, and that kindness, once given, had a way of finding its way back. Daniel hesitated as the car door opened. He had never ridden in something so quiet, so polished. Leo climbed in first, eyes wide with wonder, water dripping from his sleeves onto the leather seat. Daniel apologized instinctively, but the woman only smiled. "My name is Eleanor," she said as the car moved. "And I owe you more than you know." Daniel shook his head. "It was just a bus ticket." Eleanor looked out the window, her reflection faint against the city lights. "Tonight was the worst night of my life," she admitted. "I was on my way to the hospital. My sister was in surgery. I'd lost my wallet, my phone, and my courage." Her voice cracked. "When you gave me that ticket, it felt like someone telling me I wasn't alone." They arrived at Daniel's small apartment. Eleanor walked them to the door despite the late hour. Before leaving, she handed Daniel a card. "Please," she said, "call me tomorrow. I'd like to repay your kindness." Daniel didn't call. He wasn't proud, just tired. Life had taught him not to expect miracles. The next morning, he rushed Leo to school, then headed to his job interview across town, hopeful but realistic. The building was enormous, glass stretching into the clouds. He felt out of place the moment he walked in. As he waited, murmurs rippled through the lobby. People straightened, nervous. A woman stepped out of the elevator, confident, commanding. Daniel's heart skipped. It was Eleanor. She met his eyes, recognition flashing instantly. The room fell silent as she smiled, warm, certain, and said, "I was hoping you'd be here." In that moment, Daniel realized something powerful. Sometimes, kindness doesn't just come back. Sometimes, it changes everything. The interview room felt smaller than it should have. Daniel sat stiffly, hands folded, while Eleanor took her seat at the head of the table. She wasn't just part of the company, she owned it. The realization pressed on his chest like weight he hadn't prepared for. "I want everyone to understand why this interview is different," Eleanor said to the panel. "Last night this man helped me when I had nothing to offer in return." Daniel tried to speak, to explain, but Eleanor gently raised a hand. "Let me finish." She turned back to him. "Daniel, tell us why you came today." He swallowed. "I'm not special," he said honestly. "I'm a single dad. I work hard. I just want a job that lets me be present for my son." No polished answers. No rehearsed lines. Just truth. After the interview, Eleanor asked him to stay behind. She poured 2 cups of coffee herself. "I won't insult you by offering charity," she said. But I do offer opportunity. The kind you earn. She offered him a position, not entry level, but a role built around his experience and reliability. Flexible hours. Fair pay. Respect. Daniel's eyes burned. Why me? Eleanor smiled. Because companies are built on skills, but led by character. You showed yours when no one was watching. Weeks passed. Daniel's life slowly changed. He could afford better meals. He made it to Leo's school events. One evening Leo asked, "Daddy, are we rich now?" Daniel laughed softly. "No, buddy. We're just okay." One rainy afternoon, Daniel saw a man at a bus stop, searching his pockets with growing panic. Without hesitation, Daniel handed him a transit card. "Pay it forward," he said. That night, Eleanor emailed him a single sentence. "Kindness multiplies when we trust it." Daniel finally understood. That bus ticket wasn't the end of his struggle. It was the beginning of his becoming. Life didn't become perfect. There were still long days, tired nights, and worries that crept in quietly. But something inside Daniel had shifted. He walked taller, not because he earned more, but because he knew who he was. At a company event months later, Eleanor introduced Daniel to investors and partners. "This is the man who reminded me why I built this company," she said. Daniel felt uncomfortable with praise, but Leo, standing beside him in a borrowed blazer, beamed with pride. "That's my dad," he whispered to anyone who would listen. Later that evening, Eleanor pulled Daniel aside. "I started a foundation," she said. "Transportation grants, emergency support for parents and workers who just need a chance. I'd like you to help run it." Daniel was stunned. "Why would you trust me with that?" "Because you understand need," she replied. "And you respect dignity." The foundation helped hundreds, single parents, night shift workers, students, strangers at bus stops. Daniel made sure no one ever felt small while asking for help. One night, while walking home, Daniel and Leo passed the same bus stop where everything had begun. The rain fell gently this time. Leo looked up. "Daddy, if you hadn't given that ticket away, would we still be here?" Daniel knelt beside him. "We might be somewhere else," he said. "But doing the right thing always takes you where you're meant to be." As they walked on, Daniel realized something profound. Kindness doesn't guarantee reward, but it guarantees meaning. And meaning, he had learned, was the richest thing a father could give his child. Years later, Daniel kept that old, wrinkled bus ticket in his wallet. Not as a reminder of poverty, but of purpose. At a conference, Eleanor once asked him to speak. Daniel stood at the podium, nervous, scanning a room full of strangers. "I used to believe kindness was a luxury," he began. "Something you give when you have extra." He paused. "I was wrong. Kindness is a choice you make when it costs you something." He told them about the rain, the bus, the stranger. He told them about walking home with wet shoes and a brave little boy. The room was silent. "When I gave that ticket away," he said, "I didn't gain money. I gained direction." After the applause, a young man approached him. "I almost didn't come today," he admitted. "I lost my job. I feel invisible." Daniel smiled and placed the old ticket in his hand. "You're not invisible," he said. "And this world is kinder than it looks, especially when you help make it that way." That night, Daniel tucked Leo into bed. "What did we learn today?" he asked. Leo yawned. "That helping people can change your life." Daniel corrected him gently. "No, son. Helping people changes their life. It's your heart that changes forever." Outside, a bus passed, lights glowing in the dark. Somewhere, someone was choosing kindness without knowing the outcome. And that, Daniel knew, was how hope quietly moved through the world.